here today because this is really just a fantastic project. I really want to take the extra effort to acknowledge the role that the community played in getting this project to come to fruition. Our neighborhood partners, the people living in the community, Coast, the Franklin Neighborhood Center Advisory Committee, the Neighborhood Advisory Committee were all early advocates for this project. I remember mothers and children out with signs asking for this project. And what I want you to know is all of that is very important to our state decision makers in deciding whether or not to fund projects like this. And the community support for this project was a huge part of the reason that we were able to get the grant funding to get it constructed. I am so excited for the safety improvements and the pedestrian improvements that this project offers to our community. I've talked to numerous people here this morning, including Chia, one of our employees, who used to walk across this bridge to school every day and then to the boxing gym, darting through traffic. And so to be able to have safe transportation facilities for our families and children get back and forth to school is wonderful. It's also great that we're able to improve the flood conveyance in the creek, as well as to implement improvements for stormwater management. But I do want to introduce Jessica Grant, our supervising transportation planner, who was fundamental in securing the funding for this. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jessica to talk about that process.
So my name is Jessica Grant, and I'm the supervising transportation planner for this city. We at Public Works are so happy for this ribbon cutting today because it represents the removal of a major transportation barrier. A sidewalk across this bridge has been a long time community need, and no longer do families have to walk a quarter mile out of their way to get to Cleveland and Franklin Elementary Schools, Eastside Park, Franklin Community Center, and the Eastside Library. For those that were brave enough to use the former bridge, no longer do you have to sprint across it. As I said, this has been a long time community need. It was documented with the former Franklin Neighborhood Advisory Council that we have members in the audience today, through school PTA meetings, the Neighborhood Advisory Council, Coast Eastside Walks Group, and the Transportation Circulation Committee. The need was affirmed as one of the top infrastructure needs with the council adopted Eastside Neighborhood Transportation Management Plan back in 2013. In 2014, the city secured the active transportation grant funding to approximately $3.4 million towards the $5.7 million project cost. In addition to the bridge construction, we also filled in critical missing sidewalk links along Montecito and also along Salinas Street between Clifton and Mason. And now we have a complete sidewalk network to get to Cleveland and Franklin. And now's the fun part for me to say all the thank yous and recognition, because it definitely took a village to get this project to fruition. I wanted to first thank Brian DeMore and Andrew Grubb and Derek Bailey that helped me put the grant application together to transition this community need into a reality. This was not an easy project to design due to the site constraints. I want to thank Andrew Grubb, who is the former project engineer with the city that managed the consultant team through the design phase. And thank you for the engineering staff support team. Thank you to Matt Brigard and Craig Drake for Drake Hagelin and Associates being the lead design engineers and the consultant team lead. Thank you to all the technical team consultants as well. Some is David Black, landscape architect, Rosemary Thompson and Hannah of Cardinal, and Matt Davis of Flippin Engineering. Not only was this not an easy project to design, it was not an easy project to construct. And leading the team through the project's construction phase was Ken Young, and also a special thank you to Jack Hines and Alex Ubaldo. The construction company that made this all happen was Burke Construction, And special thank yous to Rob Burke, Jerry Missamore, Mark Missamore, and Christian Fuss. Last but not the least, we wanted to thank the Eastside neighborhood and Cleveland and Franklin elementary schools who provided their facilities for all the community workshops and project updates, and more importantly, signing the grant applications. To our neighborhood and city advisory groups, the former Franklin Advisory Committee, the Neighborhood Advisory Council, the Transportation Circulation Committee, the Historic Landmarks Committee, and the Architecture Board of Review. Also to thank the Coast Eastside Walks Group. Thank you for getting everyone to all of the meetings and school meetings, etc. Thank you, Ana Rico and Eva Imbar. And thank you to the Santa Barbara Bicycle Coalition. With that, I want to hand it off to Ken Young to tell you more about the project's construction.
Hello, we are here today to celebrate the completion of the Montecito Street Bridge and pedestrian improvements along Salinas Street. The old bridge is now remembered in pictures and memories that have gone by. Google has updated Street View along Salinas Street. Soon the new bridge will be on Street View as well. But the old bridge is actually still with us here today. Through planning and design, the old sandstone was reused and incorporated on the new pilasters on each corner of the bridge. The years of planning, design, and construction resulted in what you see at this site today. Some 20,000 hours of human effort went into this project over a period of 7 years. When I was assigned to this project last June, I was given two objectives: preserve the sycamore tree and get the project done by March. Neither objective was easy. With unavoidable utility delays, construction was set back for a few weeks. It seemed we were going to lose the window to do work in the creek, and that throwing in the towel for the construction season seemed like the best of options. But Public Works takes time and pride in preserving our natural resources, so despite numerous requests to remove the sycamore tree for construction purposes, the request was always the same. And today the old sycamore tree stands on the north side of the bridge. And by the way, on the south side of the bridge, a young sycamore tree was planted to remind future generations of bridge designers and builders of our commitment to the environment. So Sawyer Grubb, when you're 100 years old and they start talking about replacing this bridge, remember the sycamore tree. We get a lot of calls from our citizens when progress on projects seems slow or has stalled. Working in the public right-of-way allows everyone to keep us honest and on time. When unavoidable delays come our way, three things happen. We got to figure out a way to expedite the work. Complaints come in from all directions, and the motivation and mood of the contractor and crew changes from a pleasant joyfulness and happiness to one of obligation. Unfortunately, this project got caught in that cycle for a few weeks. But once the utilities were cleared, weeks of fear of impending rain set in. Requests to throw in the towel for construction season came in. Thankfully, for the desire of the community to keep the roads open and the leadership of Rob Burke, Jerry Missamore, and our very own Jack Hines, we forgot about the possibility of rains hampering our progress and move forward. And by the time mid-October came around, the end of work in the creek was in sight, and luckily for us, we did end up with a wet winter. I'm always amazed at how word travels. On March 29th, I told a couple of people that the bridge would open at noon. When the bridge did finally open at 1 o'clock, there was a platoon of 10 cars all trying to be the first to get over the bridge. Through the trials and tribulations of getting the bridge built, we now have a new bridge. One where pedestrians, vehicles, and bicycles can comfortably transverse, and thanks to great planning and design, it's very pleasing to look at too, which will serve the community for generations to come. At this time, I would like to introduce Mayor Kathy Murillo.
Good morning, everyone. When I was first elected, I did office hours at the Eastside Library, and I remember an elderly woman coming up and talking about this, and I was like, okay, and I took notes, and so that was 2012, right? So it takes time sometimes. But I want to find her and tell her, look, it happened. The Montecito Yananali Street Bridge replacement and pedestrian improvement project enhances our neighborhood livability by addressing pedestrian and traffic safety issues and barriers to walking for residents. This is important to our East Side neighborhood as it has one of the highest concentrations of pedestrian activity and bicycle commuters. I saw one guy show up here. And the need for safe infrastructure is critical. This is one of several infrastructure projects in the East Side Neighborhood Transportation Management Plan funded by the active transportation programs. This project fulfills elements of the city's adopted pedestrian master plan and bicycle master plan, encouraging more people to walk and ride bicycles. Thank you again to the partners and especially our residents for your support of this important infrastructure project. I see you out there. Thank you for coming. So we have other projects on the east side. This is the third ribbon cutting related to the active transportation projects. First was the Cacique and Soledad Safe Routes to School project. Second was the Lower Milpas Pedestrian Improvement Safe Routes to School project. The fourth project is the Safe Routes to School Carpinteria at Voluntario pedestrian improvements with project completion anticipated in late April. So more good things to come. I need to say that Councilmember Jason Dominguez, who represents the district, is in Sacramento, and he sends his regards to everyone. But we'll look ahead to the Quinientos Bridge groundbreaking in late April, and that was funded by the Highway Bridge Program. So we didn't point out the SBCAG folks, Santa Barbara County Association of Governments, Margie Kern, Sarkis, Kachak, Lauren Clemen, and God, I just feel like I want to point out everyone. I'm in my throat today. This is just amazing. The people in the schools, the kids, it just means a lot to them. I mean, everybody has said it, but when you know them personally, Ricardo's right here, it's the quality of their lives. This is just amazing today.
4, 3,